Really nice connecting with these top leaders here. And today we are discussing, it's one of the emerging topic these days. Many of the brands and agencies are actually looking forward. And when I was in one of the agencies, many of the brands and agencies, they used to ask that what are the third emerging ecosystem other than the Google and Meta platforms. So today, I'll start with first Gaurav, because he comes from the traditional digital media ecosystem. That what are your thoughts on these days, the new emerging platforms, the new publishers who are coming in this market these days? What are your thoughts, and how Jagran is doing some innovation or maybe some rich media things, which is, creating a new things in the market?
Yeah. So if you look at it, we are a digital publisher, and our legacy goes back 80 years. Print first, and then digital. Digital has been around for 20 years, but you don't survive 20 years if you're not innovating.
Exactly.
Right? So we are not just a push platform where users come and consume what we want them to see, but they come and consume what they want to consume. Right? So there's a lot of innovation that has happened. So we are a content company to start with. It's a curated environment. It is something that is built on trust and legacy. Right? And then trust and legacy combined with data is what we've been doing. Right? So we innovate a lot. We innovate a lot in terms of our content distribution. We innovate a lot in terms of monetization. We are an ads first model. Right? So it is the monetization of the users who come onto my platform through ads. Right? And ads, that ad tech's evolved so much in the last 10, 15, 20 years. So we've kept pace. We work a lot on the algorithms, on the predictive analysis, looking at how do we get the most ROI, right? Maybe a few years last, 80% of the digital budget has shifted to performance, right? So we were relevant when the brand advertising was happening on the digital. We are still relevant while the budget has still shifted to the performance part. So we do a lot of innovation, like I said. So, and there is enough and more in terms of competition that happens. So new age platforms come along with that, right? Google and Meta, obviously, are the leaders there, walled gardens, but we are trying to do a little more than them, because what we offer, they can't offer. Talk about brand safety, talk about the trust that we have. So all of it put together, we are in a safe space. We've been doing a lot of work, and that, I think, will continue to evolve as we go along.
Very nice. So, in terms of discovery and disruption, I would then ask Shekhar, because he comes from agency background and working with ValueLeaf, one of the prominent agency. So, in terms of high intent audience from agency side, what are your thoughts on how are next gen platforms helping brands tap into niche, high intent communities that may be overlooked by mainstream media?
Yeah, thanks, Wala. So, I speak from the kind of ethos what we follow.
Yeah.
So, gone are the days when any publisher or any medium needs to be loud. It's more about being relevant nowadays.
True.
And there's the reason behind we scaling up our operations and reaching these levels is because we followed an ethos which was set a few years back by our management, and that's basically context, consent, and then communities. Because we did not want to advertise the way traditional media has been doing, like billboards, which is out there. It can maybe attract your attention. But we wanted the communication to flow like a place in a cafe, which is where very intimate with the user. And this is how we want the brands which are working with us to be discovered by the audiences. And that has been the main frame of the way we have been operating so far.
Very nice. So I'll move forward and I'll ask Robin from IndiaMart on the same question that I asked on discovery and disruption. These days, new age publishers are creating in the market. That what makes new age platforms and publishers fundamentally different from traditional digital media channels in terms of engagement and advertising value?
See, India Mart, if you look at from the example, we cater to, we are for lakhs and lakhs of MSMEs. We are the only advertising partner for them. There is no Google, there is no Meta, there is no any other offline media channel they're working with. They're primarily working with India Mart to meet their demand generation requests. So we cater to them. So that is one part of this thing. In the other side, especially companies which work with B2B customers, it could be a JCB, it could be medical equipments, it could be a lifts. These are all B2B products. You have the high-end brands that work with us. The reason both these partners work with us is one very simple reason, that if you go to any other media, you're primarily looking to reach to audiences only. You're primarily looking for reach as the primary parameter. But we come to a specialized publisher, B2B marketplace platform like us. It is not just an audience or reach. There's a lot of signals that the audience is giving on top of them, right? I would know for a lot of the buyers their GST numbers. I would know for a lot of the buyers their past history. I would know how long they have been on the platform. I would know their location. I would know what kind of recommends they do. I do have a feedback about them. So there's a lot of signals that I'm building on top of just the audience data. So it is not just impressions. You're also building intentions on top of those impressions that is available. The second thing that changes is that you're not just buying a set of audiences that is available on a dashboard. Lot of the cases, because it's a two-sided ecosystem, right? You're wanting the best possible solution for the audience or the user or the buyer. You're also wanting the best possible solution for the advertiser or a seller in our language, which means that the lot of the work that we do becomes matchmaking. It is not necessarily that you're buying a space or a time from us. You have to be relevant for the audience too, which means the constraints that you advertise, the way you advertise, the what you have to do in the platform also changes drastically. So you have to adapt to the platform, be native about the entire experience that you do, and where you're focusing primarily on the matchmaking experience and not just hey, I'm going to be advertising on this platform. So
Lovely.
Two top things, lot more to talk, but two top things.
Very nice. So, love the point that you said it's not just for this space, but there are so many cohorts and things that you are tracking and then actually retargeting those people again.
So it's as intentions built, it's not just impressions.
Perfect. So Varun, same question goes to you. From No Broker standpoint, what are your thoughts and consent on it?
Right, thanks. So, like Chandrasekhar said, I think context or relevance, I would say, is very important in current scenario. What has happened is there is a lot of data, a lot of content out there. It's like explosion after pandemic. So the attention spans have become very smaller. And the traditional media channels, it was that you have an audience which is going through those particular maybe publishers, part of those traditional media channels, and there you are targeting versus the second aspect, which is the communities maybe, where you have more niche platforms available. Like maybe you did not have a platform which was only meant for pets, a platform which was only meant for, let's say, a religious seeker. So these kind of things have evolved drastically because of the internet, and everybody's got internet at their hands. People have been able to explore these, people have been able to develop their interests, and that has created those niche communities. I think that has really helped. And I think I'm maybe have a very interesting viewpoint because No Broker is an advertiser, and we have a product called No Broker Hood, which is a society and gate management
I was supposed
platform.
to come on that point. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like a publisher. So I have viewpoint for both, and I see how brand interact on No Broker Hood when they want to advertise, and why it makes sense for them. And for No Broker, obviously, when I choose our media mix, I do take care of the relevance and the community aspect of it, so that the money that I'm putting in has the maximum bang for buck. So I think that's the major difference, I would say.
Very nice. So we have Stan also. So Stan, the same question goes to you as well. I hope you can hear and... All right. So what are your thoughts on the same point, if you can just elaborate.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me virtually. Can you hear me in the room?
Yes, yes.
Great. I'll be honest, I don't think there's much more that I can add from our esteemed contributors, but from an advertiser perspective, what the new age platforms really give is fundamentally, and it depends on perspective, is maybe not huge amounts in terms of the actual proposition or delivery, but what I believe fundamentally separates is is the intimacy and the emotional resonance with their audiences. I think these new age platforms are attracting the new age publishers who in turn are driving that deeper engagement with their audiences. And the key word moving forward, and has been for the past sort of 12 to 24 months, is engagement, not just with the brand, but with the property or environment for which the users come from. And yeah, the new age platforms have been particularly adept at fueling that engagement and fueling that loyalty. Maybe the more traditional platforms have not neglected, but haven't capitalized on.
All right. So again, Shekhar, I'll have another follow-up questions that these days, since AI came into picture, things are changing rapidly overnight. What are the biggest challenges that you see these days and opportunities as well in attracting brands and budgets, both?
See, one of the challenges, not right now, but maybe a couple of years back, what we used to see is brands were very hesitant, especially certain genre of industries. They would be very hesitant in terms of trying new mediums. They have always been traditional. Like I have worked as a marketeer with a real estate industry, and we used to be big on display. And I worked with Times as well, where this Magic Bricks platform, we used to be big on display, and a part of it was retargeting. Now when I see they're working on end of the funnel kind of a metrics, where they have a new products and everything. So it used to be a big challenge to make the brands believe into new age mediums. But with the addition of a lot of startups, the new age startups, a lot of quick commerce around over here, I don't see the challenge is that bigger right now, where you have to go and convince any advertiser to advertise on a newer platform. So as a marketer, we go by two ways of advertising. One is intent-based, one is behavioral-based. And it is majorly because of the two digital giants we have in the market. Right. Now, very few marketeers right now have been introduced with more intent-based platforms. Like traditionally we know, okay, search is the intent-based platform, or the best way to get a high intent audience. There are inventories or platforms such as keyboard inventories, which I'm sure you're also very well aware of. We have had a lot of discussions around it. They are also not, let's say, up to that level, because they are still evolving. But even they are into the category where the intent-based targeting can be done. Because somebody who wants to make that purchase, or who is particularly looking for that particular product or service at that point of time, would go and type it. And at that point of time, they would see the ads about the keyboard. So, of course, it is intent-based. But a lot of advertisers I have seen, they don't know about it. When we tell them, they get excited. But again, maybe because they have, a kind of apprehension, which has reduced over the period of time, but still a bit of apprehension in terms of trying on a new inventory. They would not want to put their budgets. But of course, I'm seeing a lot of brands being open to these kind of inventories nowadays.
Interesting. So Gaurav, since we have touched upon the innovations in AI, same questions that, is there any challenges that you see? There are so many emerging platforms came into picture. Do you see there are so many challenges in terms of traditional media ecosystem?
No, in general, there are challenges, right? So advertising is just not about transactions and data. Yeah. There's so much more to it. The storytelling is getting lost. Somewhere in that race of getting maximum out of the spends that we are doing as marketers, we've lost that connect. You know, the previous session, the speakers, Chanpreet spoke about, right? If your brand searches are not happening, you know, it'll be very difficult for you to drive that ROI. So in general, it's not just me. You know, you talk to any marketer, anybody in the room will understand, right? We need to spend on building the brand. We need to talk about how do we get into people's head, people connect with them emotionally, right? So it's not just me. Anybody on this panel will also agree with that, right? So apart from that, I think we've been doing okay. Advertising in general, digital advertising is the biggest, right? At 80,000 crores, it is as big as it gets. Our ad to GDP is still very, very low. As that goes up, we will see more of it. But as platforms, we need to keep innovating, and we need to have that element of storytelling, emotional connect, and that helps not just us, but also the brands in the long term. So we all need, as marketeers, as salespeople, as somebody who's the custodian of their own platforms, needs to be working with the clients and brands to tell them what works best with us. So that's something that we have to be mindful of.
Okay. So, for Robin, especially on data and measurement, with increasing privacy norms, how are these platforms these days are bothering? Plus, what are your thought points, especially data and measurement point of view, if you think about? What are your concerns and thoughts on it?
See, you are privacy first from a platform perspective. You are privacy first by design. We are all waiting the implementation of the DDPP Act. So that is something that is coming up. At IndiaMart, we are very, very particular about the PII data, the personal information of each one of them. We follow ISO regulations to ensure that the neither in storage nor in transit, the privacy of the data is not compromised. And the advantage that a new age publishers or the platform like us have is that we anyway own a lot of first party data, and we own a lot of first party signals, which enable us to then give a very personalized experience for buyers and sellers. So we are not anyway exporting the data, we are keeping it within the platforms. We are ensuring that we are using the data and to make the experience better. Connecting back to the last question also, right? So and artificial intelligence and the machine learning algorithms today has definitely improved the experience of for the experience of the users and the advertisers at both ends, because advertisers are not able to access the high intent, relevant audiences much more better.
Yes.
The user are able to see the relevant ads on the other side. So that is also happening on the other side, that you have an AML algorithm, you have a data privacy that you are building on top of it, and you're particular about user data. Research all says very clearly that the user of the platforms are very, very particular about where the data being used, the privacy of the data being maintained. So you adhere to them, the rules and regulations, and you adhere to them, and your privacy by design, that's when the users trust you with more data.
Very nice. So Varun, since you mentioned no broker hurt, and the society where I live in, we use that. The kind of interstitials that you guys use over there on mobile, it's amazing, very catchy. So on that, especially for creative adaptions, what kind of creative strategy works best, especially when you talk about new age publishers and in no brokerhood point of view?
Right. So, because there's a lot of data out there, and at the same time there are communities which are niche communities available for you to consume the content, you are in a particular zone when you are browsing certain apps. It's important for marketers to tap into that. Like, for example, somebody who's using no brokerhood in the morning, we have seen that grocery and milk delivery works really well because person is in that zone.
Yes.
Obviously, so not only no brokerhood, I mean, if you talk about any other platform where there are niche communities available, how can you put your brand story in that context so that it feels relevant to the user? And I think because of Reels and Shorts explosion, everybody is used to now that quick content. And it's across the spectrum, quick delivery. You'll see that it started with grocery, now it's everywhere. People are becoming more impatient. So if you don't have that context, and if you don't have that relevance in the creative built in for the platform where you are showing it, I think it will not stick to the user. So that's very important. And at No Broker, when we do our campaigns, we have seen that when we experiment on such lines, it works really well. So that, and brands are also obviously adapting to it, and that's what we see on No Brokerhood. So when brands advertise on No Brokerhood, they do bring in the context of maybe a residential community or a festival plus residential community.
Yeah.
So these are the combinations that they try, and the city has definitely showed the results.
Very nice. So same question to Stan, because you lead affiliate, and in the affiliate industry, if you see, if something new is there, probably brands demands that. So what are your thoughts on it, especially in new creative adaptions these days? Is there any challenges, or do you have any specific pointers to highlight upon it?
So again, harking back to the earlier points of storytelling, very, very important. Particularly in our industry, cybersecurity, all of our users are high intent. We're not an aspirational purchase. We're more of a utility. So we need the creatives to not just tell that story, but also reinforce the urgency of that. And again, leading into transparency, I don't necessarily need to have intimate detail of everything that's behind the curtain on the publisher's sites, but I need the transparency of the user journey so that we can adapt that creative and assist the publisher in getting the best message forward. We get some of our best engagement from some of our, in quotes, smallest publishers, because they're the ones that put the time and the energy into developing that loyalty, again, the audience, and tailoring that journey specifically to their audience's needs. So we see particularly high conversion. The challenge for us is trying to scale those smaller publishers and trying to tap into more of that community or more of those communities.
All right. So following up the same, do you have any examples or any sort of case study that you can share with us and the audiences that has worked really well in terms of anything in terms of new creative adaptions? Other than the traditionals, your SMS or WhatsApp, what sort of creative is more into demand these days?
So, taking it myself, for us, it's diversity of creative and tapping into community. Again, I can only speak on behalf of our actions this year, but there is a huge gaming community in India. There is a huge, from what I've seen, everybody loves cricket. And then, of course, there are the regular needs of homes, family, back to school, and the business side of things. So we've ensured that we have tailored creatives for each of those. Our gaming creatives this year have been flying. We sponsored the Mumbai Indians, which has been an absolutely soaring campaign that exceeded beyond our wildest dreams, if we're being honest. So again, it's having that tailored niche creative that really helps us tap into the audience. And that's a very broad case study, but we can speak broadly about attacking niche audiences.
Very nice. Okay, so Shekhar, once again, you see these days everyone is talking about AI, AR, VR, CTV. So I'm also hopping on the same, and now a follow-up question that these days, how AI is, in terms of an agency perspective, I'm talking, is evolving, how brands are demanding. So what are your thoughts, points, especially on AI, VR, and CTV?
Sure. One thing where the use of AI has become very dominant is making media plans.
Nothing new, yes.
So now I don't know whether we will need media planners in future, but yeah, even a 12-year-old can sit on ChatGPT and make media plans.
Quick and fast.
Yeah. So yeah, that is happening for sure. But when I look at AI, AR or VR, their role is to make the entire experience immersive. It should feel as native rather than too much in the face kind of thing. If I have to speak specifically, we have seen that at least in the Indian market, if you see, during IPL, there were a lot of ads which were in your face, repetitive, no frequency capping, and a couple of ads which I spoke on LinkedIn also about cringe content. So, we, on one hand, we are speaking about AI or all these latest technologies implementing, but when it comes to content especially, I don't think we are using it that much. we do see a lot of ads which have been created by AI nowadays. They are not mainboard ones, but they are on the social media. So these, and some of them have really been very, very immersive, very up to the mark. I don't know if a lot of you have seen, there has been a trailer made of Mahabharata completely on AI, and
Correct.
if you look at it, it looks like it has a very high production value. So, but
Even Narasimha, the recent movie.
Yes, but on the front, advertising front, I don't think it is being used that much. Very few of us know that ChatGPT ads are out there, and like a lot of D2C brands are using
True.
it. But it's not there very prominently. I'll tell you something interesting. So, 2020 when the COVID struck, so late 2020s till 22, 23 mid, we saw a very fast evolution. I'm purely talking about Indian market as an affiliate market or an advertising market. So we saw a very fast evolution, and we can speak of a lot of brands which are out there who has come with different platforms, very creative platforms, very innovative platforms. And then after 23, for these past 2 years, we have not seen much of a innovation happening in our industry at least. But we are seeing they are getting, there's an evolution that is happening where the business models are getting settled. There are mergers and acquisitions happening. But of late, there has not been a lot of something out of the box, something which really interests us. Like I spoke about the keyboard inventories, it
Yes.
has happened in those years. So I think we are still not adapting it the way we should be. And we are a bit lagging behind, but I'm sure I see that adaptation picking up pace next year onwards, because I see some of the things that are being made right now. Based on that, I think, with agentic AI and everything, it will be out there from next year.
Cool. So Gaurav, on the same front, I mean, how, from Jagran's standpoint, how Jagran is leveraging AI or VR and taking it out for the end user?
A lot of it, right? So we don't create any content using AI. We are very clear, So we use it to polish
that
it.
reflects.
Yeah. So I mean, and the users are good enough to understand, right? And on top of it, your distribution algorithms also understand what is synthetic and what is user made, right? And we are a 600 people team, and 400 of them are content creators or editors
Wow.
and journalists put together. So none of them use it, right, to create content, but to polish, to mold it into different formats. Yes, we do. In terms of advertising, there's a lot of data that goes into the back end. There's a lot of machine learning that is delivering campaigns to the right relevant users, right? That's happening. We're using it on the creative side on the advertising, but I still believe there's nothing that goes out without a human in the loop. It's very simple.
Of course, of course.
So you can polish your content, ads,
Yes.
creatives, whatever that you want to do using an AI, but relying solely on artificial intelligence doesn't happen. Data, yes, that's the strong point. We use artificial intelligence in a lot of our workflows, right? Like I said, for different formats, you can, depending on the article that you have, you want summaries, you want great titles, maybe generate a thumbnail, something of that sort, improvise on that, but nothing beyond that. Not in terms of generating content that we are not doing. It's very simple for
Lovely.
us, right?
The real has to be real, no artificial. Perfect. So, Robin, the same question for you. How India Mart is leveraging AI these days and impacting big time? Though you have touched upon, but
No, so
yes.
I talked about machine learning algorithms, but generative AI, if we talk about, one of the earliest use case that we started using was we have a lot of photos for all the products. These are B2B products, and photo is one of the big use case why the buyers come to the platform for. Because they want to see the product they buy. So cleaning up those images, we still want to have the authentic images from the seller side, but cleaning up background. So there's a lot of generative AI that is being used at this point in time from there. In the platform also, we are exploring from a conversational perspective. There's a use case for generative AI, and so there are experiments that are going on from that perspective. From the marketing team standpoint, one of the earliest successful use case has been on the entire different Indic languages that we cater to. We cater to roughly about 21 crore registered buyers on one side and 80 lakh sellers on the other side. And these are business owners who prefer to converse in their own language of their own. So
So Vernac basically. you're talking
Vernac,
about. All right.
an Indic language becomes a big use case because before that it used to be a very time-consuming process. I think generative AI has solved that problem largely at this point in time. Yesterday we had a marketing review in our system. We were just opening up our social media and we were seeing in how many of the content AI was used. Surprising thing was, to my surprise, a large amount of content, there is some bit of AI in it. Okay? It's not the images that we create, in the videos that we create, we are using significant AI. The human is still a differentiator, but it has increased the speed of execution very drastically. For example,
Bang on.
recently
Yes.
we did a topical video for Independence Day. Earlier it would have taken 1 month to plan, shoot, edit. Yeah, it's still the script is still the primary thing, but then the execution is within 2-3 days, 3-4 iterations, you are ending with a very good output of the entire thing. So AI is making a huge difference, at least from my viewpoint.
Lovely. Nice. Varun, your thoughts on it?
Yeah, so even at No Broker, we are big on AI, like not only in marketing, but marketing, business efficiency, and maybe operations, all three aspects. We have tried to solve using AI. I think the biggest use case would be, like we built a tool for ourselves. Like ours is a managed service, and we have multiple businesses. So we have a decently big contact center. And auditing those calls was a nightmare because it was a sampled set that we used to do. We've created a tool which was supposed to be the internal tool, but it has become so good that now we are licensing out to enterprises. So that's one where we are able to make the contact center efficiency better. Second is how can we make the platform better? Like when you come to No Broker, if you are looking for a certain type of property, it's not like e-commerce or it's not like any product company where you have one product which is defined. You can maybe both of us are looking for 2 BHK, but those 2 BHK requirements can be drastically different. So how do I understand the exact requirement and suggest you properties which are relevant? That's where the platform efficiency comes into picture. And obviously the marketing part, so we had something called as Markathon, like techies do hackathon, we did Markathon.
Markathon.
And it was only focused on AI. And it was across the marketing team. And people had not used like maybe VO3, Fireflies earlier. They were given subscriptions and credits. And it started at 10, and by around 8:39, we had like 8 to 9 production ready videos which can just go live as it is. So the power is immense, and we realized that. So in maybe fast iteration, like Robin mentioned, we are doing that. And tying back to the context bit, it's become very easy now to create more contextual creatives, maybe at a single user level. So that's how we are currently using AI.
Very nice. Stan, your thoughts on the same point. How you are leveraging in your affiliate campaigns these days?
So on the affiliate side of things, we haven't really tapped into the AI and machine learning aspects yet.
Okay.
The main reason for that is the security considerations. Being a cybersecurity company, we have to be the pillar of security examples. But from what we have touched on, and we have used it in some aspects for cleaning of the affiliate program, removing links, identifying publishers who are using either defunct links or aren't optimizing links properly. It's an efficiency tool. You know, it means I can identify those in a heartbeat, whereas previously it would have taken a colleague half a day to run through that. What we've been really focusing on is maybe introducing more of a human element into our creative, because we've seen a lot of AI-generated content out there, and the biggest part of artificial intelligence is arguably artificial. So it's caused us to sort of take a look at our program, take a look at our content, take a look at the messaging, and making sure we do have that human element in there, because we don't want it to look like we've been produced by AI. So it's an interesting dichotomy. We want to use it for efficiency, you know, and to adopt the new technology, but at the same time, we want to make sure we don't lose that human element. And again, harking back, lose that intimacy and emotional resonance with not just our users, but our publishers. Because I think if it's used in the wrong way, it creates a detachment. but used in the right way, it can create stronger bonds. It's a really interesting topic that I think everyone on the panel could speak about for hours and not just cover in this small session.
You can still speak.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
All right. So, any piece of advice that you would like to give for the marketers or people who are using first time the newest platforms other than the traditional media ecosystem? Any piece of advice that you would like to give?
I'll jump in and take that first one. Thank you. I mean, my first piece of advice to give to everybody is avoid chasing vanity metrics. You know, keep your eyes on what your ultimate goals need to be. Don't be bamboozled by the bells and whistles of platforms. 90% or more of your program will rely on the regular and traditional means, but then that extra 10% could well expand into 30, 40 or 50%. Just be open, test small, focus on the incremental growth because affiliates is, at the end of the day, an incremental channel. I would argue that it's maybe becoming more important than that. But yeah, keep focused, have clear goals would be the snapshot message.
Great. Thank you. Shekhar, your advice on this. If any advice that you want to give to the marketers or a first-time user.
See, AI-based, when I was talking about AI-based platforms or innovation, is not at the same pace in Indian market compared to other market. Like a couple of months back, we were together at an international event in Dubai, and there was a platform where which was charging you what $20, and in $20 you get some credits. You just put the let's say your brand's URL over there, and it will give you it will actually crawl your entire websites, take or whatever the selling points of that particular product or services, and they would make a video, a complete commercial in a very short span of time. So yeah, I mean we need to move towards, I think recently OpenAI's CEO also said the same thing, that right now we are seeing the machine learning AI phase. The next one is going to be the agentic AI, and the third one is physical AI. So I think we are at the cusp of it, and we need to move quickly towards the agentic AI in terms of, let's say, whether it is a platform or even brands using agentic AI. So I think that is going to be the next stage.
Very nice. So Gaurav, since Jagran is a big name, any piece of advice that you would like to give to the marketers?
Very
Because these days, if
quickly,
you
you know-
see, there are a lot of things happening, and AI is making possible if you talk about creative content and everything. So from Jagran's standpoint, what are your advice would be for the marketers or the first-time users?
You know, your question initially was to the new age sites, and then you came to the traditional, or a mix. We are not traditional. We are also
yes.
not a new age platform. We are somewhere in the middle. We have the best of the both worlds.
Yes.
So my advice to the marketers is think like a user. You know, so first and foremost, if you create and execute your campaigns with the user, if you like it as a user, chances is that campaign will do much better when you push it like a, you know, compared to when you push it like a pure marketer and pushing your product. That's better.
Perfect. Robin.
On the new age ecosystem, the first time marketers' advice is to keep on experimenting. And there are platforms out there which will give you, for your particular brand, significantly better performance or significantly better goal achievement, whether it's a branding goal or performance goal, than the Google or Meta or any other large traditional ecosystem players. So that is, keep experimenting. Two, if you're looking at the new age ecosystem, try be as native as possible. Adapt to the, as even Gaurav was talking about, understand the user.
Yes.
On the platform are coming with a very particular goal. Adapt to that. Be native in the experience. Don't try to take the same creative or the same video that works on some other platform and expecting it to work on the platform may not be the right approach to do that. Third is be patient and be persistent. Some of the platforms may not work on the day one, but they will start working for you on the day 30 and the day 60. So be patient and persistent. I think these are the
Very
advices.
nice. So many key takeaways. Yeah, Varun.
So I would say, I think focus on the creative aspect of it, I would say, is the biggest thing. And not only creative, as in the context of it. That's very important because users are impatient and distracted. So how do you catch them? Like there used to be, in Meta, we used to call it thumb-stopping creatives. Now it's not only about Meta, it's about across the content, wherever it's being consumed. Users are behaving similar way. So how do you catch that attention and make user look at your creative in a more immersive way, and the relevance comes into picture there. So maybe that would be the most important thing.
Hi, I'm Nimit from Ad Story. I have this question to Robin. How do you see AI evolving to improve the overall buyer experience on India Mart, maybe beyond advertising such as product discovery or maybe personalized recommendations?
We are trying to figure it out. So that's a simple, it's a journey we are all going through, right? Personally speaking, I believe the AI will move currently it is on a content level, it will move on more and more toward the commerce level. Okay? We are closer to the commerce. So AI has a role to play on that. Lot of the times, especially on high value products, you still want an expert to talk to before you buy the purchase. Some of those, currently the expertise is completely available only on phone or on WhatsApp. So there are two mediums that people are primarily using to interact with the sellers on the platform. So that some part of it or certain parts of it will move to AI, but it's a journey. We are not there yet. It's a journey to go through, but it will move fast. AI will evolve. We are confident that we will understand the technology. We are confident that we will understand the buyer needs and adapt to both of them.
A lot more to come.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.